And we're on. Hello, Shimi Goodman.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for coming and agreeing to share your experience, your life,
My
your
pleasure.
theater work.
It's
I have
my
so much
pleasure.
to ask.
Yeah, go for it.
Shimi, so
Yeah.
if you can just share a bit about yourself and where you're from.
My name is Shimi Goodman. I am from Israel, Tel Aviv, where I was born and lived until I was 21, 22, when I moved to England, to Guildford, to study at the Guildford School of Acting. And then I was incredibly lucky to also pursue a career in musical theatre in the West End and other places in England and around the world. Um, and then I decided to leave the musical theatre as a sort of uh, main bulk of the career and pursue more of a solo career, which is what I'm currently doing. Know, considering Corona as a bit of a hitch, but hey,
Amazing.
yeah, that's me in a nutshell. But now I'm sure you're going to delve in a little bit more, a
Yes.
little bit deeper.
So, Shimi,
Mm-hmm.
you're in Israel. It's 1999. You're 21. What made you decide coming to England to study 3 years of musical theater, even 4 years?
Well, yeah, 3 years musical theatre, and then I took another course, which was just acting, Meisner technique, but that's a different story. But we'll start with the question, which is, yes. So I'm in Israel, 1999. I was released from the army, 3 years in the army, as a technician. You know, not in an entertainment troupe or anything like that. I was just something quite secretive. I can't talk to you about, or I'll have to kill you. And then, only joking, of course. I'm not killing anyone. So I around during my army years, 3 years, I developed this passion for musical theatre. It started a bit earlier, but during the army years, I solidified it, and this is what I want to do. And then, of course, in those days, musical theatre in Israel was really not um, developed, not very advanced, and definitely not in terms of training for it. So I decided that I want to play at the top of my game, and I'm going to go abroad. And actually, my first port of call, my first choice was New York. Um, I wanted to go to Broadway. I wanted to do it there, and I actually started applying for all the necessary visas and student whatever applications and that sort of stuff. I remember exactly going to the American embassy, which was I think in a different building than it is now, but yeah. And and I remember going there and then I was 21 and I suddenly got really cold feet. America, I've never been to America, and by then, and it just all seemed really too far and too, I mean, the prospect of just leaving home and leaving Israel seemed major, but then to add to that, going somewhere that is so far and that I've never been to just seemed really crazy all of a sudden. Because I thought, what if I suddenly regret and I'm already there, and it's like really difficult to uproot and come back. So then I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, and she was also looking into studying abroad, but she was looking at England, and she already did a lot of research and got lots of brochures and things like that from schools all around England. So I just had a rummage through her stuff, and I saw this one brochure that looked really nice and grassy and green, and the school was kind of really old, this old building, not like it is now. It was a completely different place then, and it was Guildford. It was Guildford School of Acting, and I looked at it, and she said, "You know, funny you look at this because this is also the one that I'm interested in," she said. And I looked through it. It said there was a 2-week summer course for musical theatre, and I thought, I'm going to go and do this summer course, this 2-week summer course, and it's great because it's a short flight away. I can have a nice little holiday, summer holiday in England, and do this thing. And it was so lovely. I had a wonderful time. It was a real great taste of what it will be like. And yeah, I made my mind that this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be, and that's what I'm gonna try for. And then it just all happened. It just all happened then. And I mean, I couldn't believe it because I'm actually getting goosebumps just talking about it now. I was there. I was there. I was doing the course. I was enjoying. I was loving it so much. It was dance and acting and singing and everything that I ever dreamt of. Um, and then they said, we're auditioning. We're auditioning for the full-time course. People in the two week course can audition for this. And I said, oh my God, this is incredible. And so this is a funny story, actually. This has just come back to me now. Um, so the audition day came. It was the penultimate day of the course. And I get to the audition and I couldn't sing at all. I've lost my voice completely. I've lost my voice. It was like after 2 weeks of grueling singing. I wasn't trained well enough at this stage. I didn't have the chops or the technique, so I've just overdone it and I've lost my voice and I couldn't sing. And they said, "Don't worry, it's okay." And they called me for a meeting afterwards, and they said, "We we know you're good. We saw you in the course, and we want to offer you a place in the course." And I was thinking next year, because that was July, and the year starts in September. But obviously, they were talking about the year after that. They said, and we have a space in this year's course
Wow.
because somebody left, somebody dropped out, and I just thought, yeah, fine. So I had, so I just had 1 month to get back home, and just to tell everyone, I'm leaving. I'm
Wow.
going. I had 1 month to say it's all happening really fast, and I'm definitely leaving for 3 years, but who knows? Maybe even more. So yeah. So that was that. I came
Amazing.
home, told everyone I'm leaving. I'm going to do this 3-year course. Everyone, of course, was very happy, but of course, still a bit like, what the hell's going on? But there was no time to think. There was no time to think or regret. There was no time to consider other options or anything. It was just like, take it or leave it. And you know what? I think it was a blessing in disguise because I'm a Gemini and I'm a little bit of a procrastinator. I'm a little bit of a can't make my mind up sort of person. So so on the whole, I think it was a really good thing that it happened this way.
And so you find
Yeah.
yourself here in Guildford, GSA, 3 years, and then what? And then
Yeah,
you
finished my
like
3 years.
you plan coming back to Israel, or you wanted to
I had
stay?
absolutely no idea what was going to happen. Um, because yeah, as you probably know, as students, foreign students, you finish your course and you get 1 year extra on your student visa, which is what I had. And and yeah, so that's right. I went out to the world. I got an agent from one of the shows that I did on as a third year, was Songs for a New World, and I got sort of taken by an agent from that. But he didn't really want to do anything for me because he was worried that I don't have a visa. And I told him, you know, you have to send me to auditions because if I don't have any job offers, I won't be able to apply for a visa. But he didn't want to piss off any of the casting directors by sending somebody who has to. So it was a bit of a
Mm-hmm.
catch-22 sort of thing, which I'm sure a lot of you are facing now. Uh, yeah. So then I started doing some fringe productions, so unpaid work.
In Guildford?
No, in London. I moved to London. So a very important detail that I should mention is that I met my partner, who I'm still with, Chris. Um, I met him during my second year. He came to do
Wow.
a postgrad 1 year course, and we're kind of college lovebirds. We met and we're still
Nice.
together 19 years on. And so we moved together in London after I finished my third year. And uh, well, so the order of things was that I knew in those days, obviously, gay marriage wasn't a thing, but there was the English government allowed people of the same sex to apply for a what was then called an indefinite leave to remain.
Hmm.
So it's a type of visa which is basically like a it's you're a citizen but you don't have the same rights. So you can enter and leave the country as much as you like, but you can't vote and those sort of things, and you don't have benefits, rights, and you know, but you can work. Um, no, but you needed 2 years. You needed to be 2 years together for that, and you needed to prove that you've been together for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that wasn't possible still yet. But I started working in fringe productions. I did something at the King's Head, and then I did another show at a place called the Bridewell Theatre, which I don't know. I don't think it exists anymore, but I think there's something going on there, but definitely not a fringe theatre. And I did a production of Stephen Sondheim's Anyone Can Whistle. I was in the ensemble. And during that show, I remember this girl who's a British Jewish girl um, was saying to me in the dressing room that, you know, they're auditioning for the new show Bombay Dreams, and I should go because I sort of could pass as an Indian. And I just saw the show about 6 months before that and loved it. And yes, and I didn't, by that point I didn't have an agent because I left that agent. I'm not going to say who it was, but I left because I just thought, you know what, we're not gonna, this is not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote myself. I sent a letter. It was still in the letter days, printed letter to David Grinrod, who's the casting director, and I got an audition. I couldn't believe. I couldn't believe it. It was. I thought he's not. He's going to ignore me. You know, who am I? Why would he even read my letter? Is he even going to? You know, is it even going to get to his table? But it did. And he called me for an audition, and I went in. They sent me some stuff like a general song from the show to learn, and they sent me some scripts to see how I do a bit of an Indian accent, and yeah, and there I was, and they say, and he comes out of the audition room and he says, "We want to see you for the lead role."
Wow.
Of course, I don't know I'm like completely shocked by the whole thing, but I'm, you know, it's they said, we'll come back next time and we'll send you some script and everything. And they did. And I came back, and I don't know how many, probably about 12 recalls. It's a dance recall. It's more singing, more dancing, more acting, more scene with, you play. They bring an actress to play with it. There's lots, because it's a big thing. And I mean, it wasn't for the actual lead role. It was for the understudy of the lead role. And still, I couldn't believe it. I remember going to the local. We had like a local curry place around where we lived, and I remember going and asking one of the guys there who I knew to read my script in his accent. I didn't even ask him where he was from, because India is massive, but
Yeah.
I needed a Bombay accent. He could have been from, I don't know where, but it didn't matter. I just needed like a general Indian accent. I recorded him on my little recorder. Yeah, and I went in, and then the final audition came. Andrew Lloyd Webber was there because he was the producer of the show. And I got it.
Amazing, Shimi.
I got it, and that was my entry to the world of the West End. I remember getting an email from. It wasn't an email, actually. It was a phone call. A phone call from the sort of executive producer of the show, and he said, his first words were, "Welcome to the West End."
Wow.
And I just collapsed. Must have gone. I just cannot believe it. It was a big event, It's so easy to forget so many years later, until you
And
get somebody come and interview you, and you have to
here's the
talk
young
about
boy
it.
from Israel who dreamt being in the top West End show,
Yeah,
making it to the West End. Amazing.
that was that story. That was that thing. Yes, and then that lasted a year. The show lasted 1 year. It was 2 years, but I was in the second cast. I will never ever forget the first time I went on as Akash. Um, it was it was like it was sort of like flying. I remember. I mean, it was the first no the first few moments actually. Before I go on for the first entrance of the character to the stage is after everyone else. So there's a big opening number, and then he sort of comes in on his rickety bicycle. So I had to cycle into the stage. It was scary by itself, and cycle and sort of stand there and do all that Indian stuff and Bollywood dance and be sort of a slum boy from Mumbai. And I was so scared. I had people in the audience. I remember standing outside, standing in the wings when everyone's doing their first number, which normally I would have been in because I was in the ensemble. And I was waiting in the wings, and I actually thought to myself that I might just get out the stage door now and disappear. I was so scared. It was because the theaters in England are such that some of them you're standing backstage and you're actually next to the stage door. You open the door and you're out. And I saw the door and I went, I think I might go out. But obviously
Wow.
that didn't happen. I just went on, and I don't actually remember the first few minutes of me on stage. I don't remember, and I don't. It was like an out of body experience. I don't remember it because
Crazy.
It was a massive show. It was so intricate and technical. There was a huge set and thousands of costumes and costume changes, and and water fountains on the stage. I don't know if you remember. You probably didn't see it, but
Mm-mm.
it was
Sounds amazing.
scary
I,
but experience.
I did in the last Christmas, I did a show with Peter Duncan as the giant in Jack and the Beanstalk. And I was in a 4-meter suit. And even inside that, no one can even see me. And I didn't have to do like crazy dancing, crazy singing. It was just like dubbing him and acting inside it. I was so excited when I first came on stage. I couldn't even imagine what you felt.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, it was mad. You know, I was just a kid. I was 25 by then. Um 25 and a kid from Israel. My English was not even I was still struggling with my English. You know, it was still like
That's my next question. How did, like, when you came to GSA, what was your background? Did you have a very good English? Did you have a very good singing? Did you have a very good dancing, acting? Like, I came for the MFA in musical theater from an acting background, so that was
yeah,
like my comfort zone. Anything else, singing, dancing was a lot of work. Still is, and the accent and the English.
yeah. The accent was the hardest, I should think. My experience,
Now we sound so marvelous, but yeah, 21 years after.
it's crazy because there's still some people who, I mean, of course my accent is not, I'm not, British people can hear some sort of lilt. To you, it probably sounds perfect sort of
Yeah,
Queen's English, but
I'm
no,
signing now.
British people, a lot of British people go, where are you from? And then they try and they go, Italy, France, Spain, Malta. They try everywhere, everywhere. It's just only I can count probably about three people. All 20 years I've been here, about three people managed to guess where I'm from, and that's probably because they knew a little bit about me. But anyway, um, I had a bit of an experience. I started as a teenager in a youth group theater in Tel Aviv called Ashkanim Shel Chich,
Ah, amazing.
Chich's neighbors. Chich was the mayor of Tel Aviv in those days, and the name was inspired by that, his neighbors. Because I did, yeah, he did actually live in the neighborhood where we were. We operated in a sort of matnas, youth
Hmm.
culture and youth center. So yeah, so we did musicals in that group. That was the main bulk of work, and that's when I started kind of discovering my passion for it, the singing and dancing, and then I started taking lessons privately in Israel for singing, and then I started going to some dance lessons in a studio, like a Studio B. There was a place called Studio B in those days.
Hmm.
Um, so that was it, really. You know, nothing sort of official. And in terms of English and accent, my accent was something really weird. Obviously, as you know, in Israel, we learn English, we learn American English. We
Yeah.
learn, you know, that's what we learn at schools, and that's what we hear on the television and in the cinema. So I sort of had this weird amalgamation of Israeli and American accent. But yeah, but it was also it was also combined with the fact that my voice was really different. I think Israeli Hebrew speaking really kind of is very guttural. It's very kind of fierce. So yeah, so there's a lot of there's a lot of a lot of phlegm, a lot of phlegm. So yeah, it's quite funny because when I bump into people from my year in Guildford, they still go shimmy shimmy. They give me that because that's how I used to speak, and they always used to kind of imitate me. So, shimmy, how are you? Oh, I'm from Israel. Like that's my thing. That was my thing. My voice was like that. So all my singing teachers and my speech accent teachers had to teach me how to kind of become more nasal and more, you know,
Yeah.
more lip, more on the tip of the tongue and all that, which I had no idea anything about. So I mean, in terms of background,
Wow.
basically no, I had nothing.
It's amazing. It's such an inspiring story, Shimi. Like, you did a couple of productions in Tel Aviv as a kid, and then you joined the army as every Israeli, almost. 3 years, and then you try your luck here. Come for a summer, like a short course of 2 weeks, and it's like the hand of God. Okay, we want you to be here. You give it 3 years, then you
Yeah,
look for a chance to stay. You do fringe, whatever you can do, and then you find yourself on West End. It's nuts.
yeah, yeah. And then what happened, to continue that story about the visa, is that after the Bombay Dreams, Andrew Lloyd Webber uh, applied for a working visa for me, and I got a working visa. That's how I
Oh
actually
my God.
continued on. So the really useful group got me a work visa for the length of the contract. So I was really gutted when the show closed, because that meant that my visa is finished. But then Chris and I were together long enough to apply for our indefinite leave to remain.
Wow.
So from then on, I was a normal citizen, almost normal, but I could work, and I could go for auditions, and I could do whatever and I could enter and exit the country as much as I wanted, but uh, not vote or do anything of that ilk. Yeah.
After the big role, what was next? Like, did you have to go like a lot of actors, a lot of years before another big role, or did you just another one came along? Because
I
that's
was,
also very challenging. Sometimes
yeah,
you can grab a great role and
yeah,
then
yeah.
nothing.
I know, it's scary. Of course, you think as a youngster, you think that once you've got that first big job, then your life is sorted.
Yes.
But it's not at all the case, you know. So I finished that show, and I had new agents, Grantham and Hazeldine, wonderful agency. I stayed with them until I stopped auditioning for theaters. Um, and I just started auditioning for things. There was one show that I just really wanted to be in, and that was Chicago in the West End. And so they got me an audition for Chicago, the tour, the UK tour, and I went to the audition, and again, loads of recalls and more auditions. You think, my God, how many auditions do I have to do? But yeah, you have to. You get used to it eventually. And then I was offered ensemble and cover for the role of Mary Sunshine, which is a female role played by a male actor.
Oh my God, so much fun.
And I turned it down. Now, that, I don't know if you realize, but that was very brave for somebody. I think I probably started getting a little bit more balls, because I don't know, thinking about it now, with all the experience and knowledge that I have, I I think it was really quite a rash decision, and sort of quite a silly really thing to do, because when you get such an offer, a UK national tour with understudy for a lead role, well, a minor role, but in the ensemble of one of the biggest shows, you don't turn it down, you don't say
Of
no.
course. Of
But I
course.
said no, because I said, no, I want to do this show in the West End.
Wow.
I don't want to do a national tour. Um, and yeah, and it turns out that it was the right decision, because only a couple of months later, they started auditioning for the West End,
Wow.
and I did. I went to that audition, and I got the offer. I got the offer for the West End for a similar thing. Um, I was a swing. I got offered a swing and cover
Wow.
Mary Sunshine, and yes, that was a real. Uh, that was a real jump in a deep end to be a swing.
Oh my
I
God. Can you
that is a
explain a bit about what it's been a swing for anyone who might be hearing
swing.
this and doesn't know the term? Because I didn't 2 years ago.
Yeah, a swing in any West End show, or indeed any professional musical or play in England, you have swings, which are basically people who know all the roles of the ensemble. So every track. So obviously, as a male swing, I'd know all the male tracks, and there were three of us, and so but we all had to learn. We had, I think, three kind of main ones that we had to learn, but then after we learn our main ones, you have to learn the rest of them, because
Wow.
it's a really demanding show, and people used to get injured and ill all the time. So I there was a situation once when I had to play, I think, four or five tracks together, like sharing basically. Yeah, it was crazy. So you're on and off. You just, it's a non-stop thing, and your brain goes crazy and fried. Um, but yeah, I got through it barely.
Amazing.
So that's a swing. Yeah, that's a swing.
Would
It's
you would Shimi, would you say out of the three skills, what did you felt was your strongest? The singing one, the dancing one, the acting one?
definitely the singing. I would say singing was always my forte, and always my favorite thing as well. Always, I enjoyed it most. I think before the whole musical theatre thing started, what really attracted me to the stage was singing. Um, but then I was kind of distracted by musicals because they're fun because you get to sing a lot. You get to sing, and like, you don't just sing. You're also singing a story and a character, and there's lovely costume and dancing, and it's fun. So, but interestingly now I'm back to just being a singer. So that's
Putting the focus
that's
on
what
what you
I
want.
like. Yeah, it's funny how you kind of go full circle in the end.
But I assume
Um,
your dancing abilities were pretty high as well if you got casted as a swing in Chicago.
so I was a very good, I was a very good blagger. That's how I call myself. I blagged dancing very well. I think I've been gifted with the gift of movement. Um, and yes, I loved dancing. I still love dancing, but I was never a fully trained dancer, and because in Guildford you train in dancing, and especially when I was there, it wasn't as the dancing department wasn't as strong as it is now. I know that now they really kind of put a lot of effort on a lot of focus on dancing. In those days, we did a bit of tap, a bit of ballet, a bit of contemporary. It was a little bit
Hmm.
here and there. Um, but we were known more for singing and acting. In those days, Guildford was more for the strong singers and actors than dancers. But I was kind of always in the top groups in the dancing, all the dancing classes, um, and and so yeah, so then it gave me a kind of an extra little added bonus and added benefit when it came to
Amazing.
auditions and things. Because Bombay Dreams was a big dance show, and then Chicago, of course, and then which also leads me to my next show, which was Dirty Dancing, another big dance show. But again, I kind of managed to get through the dance level, but I was always given a something that is singing based. So, in Chicago, I was a swing, which was mainly dancing, but also I
Hmm.
was the Mary Sunshine cover, which you have to sing in falsetto and really high, and then in Dirty Dancing, I was a featured singer, so I had like my own song, because the characters didn't sing in that show. It was we
Right.
were featured singers. Yeah. Um, so yeah, singing and dancing, but definitely mainly singing.
And from there, after Dirty Dancing,
Um, that's when it all starts getting a bit muddled. But okay, no. So after Dirty Dancing, I think I went into Evita on tour. I did a national tour of Evita, and I was the alternate for the role of Che. The Antonio Banderas, and so that took about a year, and it was great. And that was another highlight, actually. It was because it's just an incredible role and an amazing show, absolutely incredible. And it was a beautiful production, really good production. That is, I think, well, not now, but I think it's still it runs around Europe, and he went on tour. He did lots of stuff like that. He came to the West End as well, with a very good friend of mine, Maddalena Alberto, playing Evita. And uh, yeah, it was incredible to do that. It was another big challenge because that was my first time doing a show not in the West End, and with a producer called Bill Kenwright, who's known for really getting shows up quickly without with a minimal budget.
Wow.
So so we had, believe it or not, I mean, Evita is a big show, and that production was big production. But we put it together in 8 days. 8 days. So I had 8 days to learn a completely new track in the ensemble,
Wow.
but then also watch the lead role, learn the part as the
Crazy.
alternate, and then be ready to go on, on his night off for that. So that was crazy, but by that point I had a lot more experience, and sort of, um, you get you get your chops. You get. I think that very important for maybe if students are looking at this is that I reckon that my actual school, and I think a lot of colleagues would agree that your actual school starts after you graduate.
Mm,
So the stuff that you learn at school is almost a set of tools, but you've never. It's like you have lots of screwdrivers, but you never actually use them. You
amazing.
never, you know. Yeah.
Have you ever considered going back to Israel, performing there, or doing, I don't know, lead roles in musical theaters back in Israel? Is it something you ever wanted, or it always seemed like, why bother?
Yeah, well, I have considered, and I've had a few sort of, people contacting me and asking if I'd like to do this and do that. But it's all about timing, really. It's whether I'm ready to kind of just leave my life here
Yeah.
and go over there and to my old life there, because I have a life over there as well. My whole family is still there. Is all there in Tel Aviv. They're all, mum, dad, brother, sister, their families.
Wow.
Um, so it would be nice, but I have my main life here. My partner, my life, my house, and um, I did something there for a short while, and that was why I agreed to do it, because it was a one-off. It was a one night only. It was a new musical called Salt and Honey, which was the story of two Holocaust survivors and how they integrate in Israeli life and the kibbutz and all that.
Wow.
It's a beautiful show, and it was produced in one night in Jerusalem on Mount Scopus out in the open air with a big 60-piece orchestra.
Wow.
Um, so it was really nice, and they called and they kept flying me back and forth as well, which was great fun. For like rehearsal here, rehearsal there, recording this song, and we want you to record that song. So in those days I didn't have it was in those days it was only about 10 years ago, but I didn't have all this equipment here, and also it wasn't, technology wasn't so advanced, so I still had to fly back to record stuff. And interviews, there were interviews, it was kind of doing stuff in the press, and they needed me to keep flying back and forth, which was fun.
How
But I
how
don't know about the problem with doing a show in Israel is that you don't really do a show in Israel. They don't do shows like they do them here. It's not like you do a show every night. A
yeah,
show there runs, I don't know, 3-4 times a week max, right? So
it's a bit
that's
different. A lot of stuff are a bit different. I think also the bar and the professional expectations here. I was shocked after working in Israel for almost 10 years. I came here to the master's program, and I was the bar was so high. I was okay, okay,
mm,
breathe, okay.
yeah. Yeah. You mean what you're expected to be able to do? Yeah.
Yes, in a very short time.
Yeah.
Um, Shimi, okay, so I wanted to ask you about tips. What would you recommend for young performers or experienced performers, Israeli or whatever country that want to establish a career in the UK?
Yes. Mm. I've been thinking about that, but and interestingly, a lot of young students or people who want to do this move have contacted me throughout the years independently, on Facebook, um,
Because you
including
can you
yourself,
can
I think.
count, yeah, also me, because you can count on one hand, even not the amount of people, at least Israelis, who did it.
Yeah, yeah. So they call me, and then, my first sort of reaction is, I don't know, but but, but no, I'll if I try to sort of squeeze what I can from my experience, and let's say if I met myself 20 years ago, what would I tell myself? Is that you have to be I wouldn't have had to tell myself this, because I know I was committed. You have to be 100% committed to it. There's no point. I think there's no point doing it if you're not sure. If you're, it's because it's tough. It's really tough. It's hard, and the challenges you get through and you go through, and um, it's grueling. So you really have to be prepared for this. I was. I don't think I thought I was. I don't think I was knowingly committed, but I think I was just blindly committed. I was just like some sort of like, this is what I want. I'm just gonna go for it, like jumping, just like jumping in the deep end, or like off a cliff kind of thing, and hope that you're gonna land, um, which is also possible. Um, but I think it's better to kind of know what you're facing and think, I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna go and grab every opportunity. Um, yeah, the other thing is, I would say, be very flexible and open to this new culture, to this extremely different culture. And
Mm.
I would say that, um, in terms of culture differences, Israel and England are probably on either side of the spectrum, right? I would, you couldn't get more different culture.
I
So,
agree.
right?
I
Agreed?
agree.
It's so different. I'm not even talking about, accent, language, mentality is a, it's like, it's like, I don't know what, it's like Mars.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a different place. It's alien. So
Hmm.
you have to come and sort of leave, not leave, but put to one side your Israeli self, because you have to keep it because it's something. Don't leave it. Don't forget about it. Keep it because it's something that will come useful to you in terms of, you know, you might be offered a role of an Israeli, I don't know what
Yeah.
person of some sort. So it's good to be able to keep that and your accent as well. But you have to be really kind of ready to be molded into something else and ready to absorb everything that you see. Now, I say that, and then I actually regret that because, you know, it really depends on what you want from your career. You know, because nowadays there's, especially in cinema, there's a lot of opportunities in cinema and television to play foreign roles, so roles
Mm-hmm.
which aren't just English. I mean, when I came here, to me it seemed like if I'm not able to speak in a you know, received pronunciation, I will not work. And in fact, that's what they told me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they said at school. They said, you know, you have to be able to do an English accent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Otherwise, don't bother. Um, And guess what was the first accent that I had as my project in accent class at school?
What?
Scottish. Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. That was a mind. It was weird. You know, I don't even know what an English accent is, and then I had to do a Scottish one.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, so just I think be prepared for. I guess every actor really needs to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Although nowadays it's different because now we're living in an age where it's so, um, you know, it's politically incorrect almost to play a different nationality and a different culture. So
But as an actor, you wanna have this ability, of course.
yeah,
Put it on and off.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes, definitely, definitely.
I think nowadays, for example, in Bombay Dreams, they wouldn't dream of auditioning somebody who was an Indian because there'd be an uproar, you know,
Yeah.
especially with the BLM movement,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, and BAME actors who deserve their place in in the acting industry for
Definitely.
sure. So I'm fully supportive of this, and that's why I'm not 100% sure about what I said
Cool.
in terms
Maybe.
of accents and culture, but in terms of your ability to mold into a different character, yes, definitely.
My 3.5 months baby boss is calling me.
Okay, you want to say?
I want to thank you for letting me pick your brain, sharing the story, sharing everything you went through. I think a lot of people, foreigners especially, will get a lot of inspiration from watching or listening to this. A lot of Israeli will, definitely. And I want
It
to
happened.
say a very big nose thank you. Shimi
Oh
Goodman.
yay!
תודה ענקית.
בכיף.
תודה.
ביי חמוד. להתראות.
ביי ביי.
ביי.